Welcome to Copytraders Club, where you can learn how to make more money copy trading. I'm Gavin Macaulay, my name and username on eToro. You can continue the conversation on Discord and Facebook. If you like this podcast and want to see it continue, well, you can do your part by recommending it to just one person or an entire group of people this week. Today we chat with a PI who is not trying to be like everyone else, either on eToro or in life in general. I'm looking at the windows of the limousine as it pulls up at the base of the steps here, at the Copytraders Clubhouse. There appears to be fire shooting out of the rear window. Let's find out why. Here we go. Episode 45 of Copytraders Club, and we welcome ThomasMeijwaard this week, who, as a PI, is guided by ethical investing principles and is something of a free-spirited Dutchman. Thomas, hallo, welkom bij Copytraders Club.
Great to be here, Gavin. Do you want me to respond in Dutch? In that case, hallo iedereen. Hello everybody. My name is ThomasMeijwaard, or you can say ThomasMeijwaard if you try it in English.
Okay, good man. Well, it's great to have you here, Thomas. As you know, there's a series of quickfire questions must be answered in order for you to get past security at reception. Are you ready for those?
I'm ready.
Username on eToro.
ThomasMeijwaard.
Date you joined eToro.
April, I think the 2nd of April 2020.
Date you became a popular investor.
4 months later, and that was June, I believe the 15th of June 2021, within 4 months.
Year of birth.
1982.
Place of residence.
At this moment, Haarlemmermeer, next to Schiphol, Amsterdam Schiphol.
Profession.
Do you have some time? I'm a coach. I'm a fire performer, fire stuntman, fire breeder, theater performer, theater production, and I've organized some festivals besides, being a popular investor on eToro.
Briefly state what you aim to achieve on eToro.
What I want to achieve is the following. I would like to create in 20 years that I can retire somewhere in the world with the gains from eToro. And I see it like a 400k plan.
Name one of your investing heroes.
Warren Buffett. That's a true hero, I believe, when you see what he accomplished by just using logic in combination with patience.
Name one of your favorite investing books.
That's a great question. I read it, and actually what I really want to point out is that when you become a popular investor at eToro, you get a great opportunity of access into the education and also to speak with people like Dr. Tal at Tel Aviv University, who is giving such a great outline and who is repeating over and over the same kind of information to get into our minds the general data out there and how to use that. So besides all the books, I really want to point out that being part of the eToro community is actually, in my opinion, something that's enhancing it, because it's not just reading your own by yourself and reading books and getting those information, but you're also connecting with popular investors afterward, and you talk with them and you're sharing your thoughts. And that's so enriching. That's something totally different from 20 years of reading books and now being on a social platform, interacting with other people. And that's what I love about eToro.
That completes the formalities. Let's proceed into our VIP section here at the clubhouse. Thomas, the magnificent Copytraders Lounge awaits you. ThomasMeijwaard, are you ready for this magical transition?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, Thomas, you can sit back and relax now that we're here in the VIP Copytraders Lounge. How does it feel?
It's feeling great.
I like how you're looking around. That's interesting. Okay, let's have a bit of background chat and get to know you. You stood out to me because your angle is ethical investing. That's going to be very interesting. We're going to talk about that a lot. I have a little confession to make. I've been so busy this week with personal stuff that I didn't get a lot of time to research you. But I did have a look at your Facebook profile. And one of the things that I learned from that you just mentioned is you breathe fire. Tell us about that.
I was inspired by the opening games of the Olympic Games in 2000 in Australia. And there was the bushfire scene during the opening ceremony with a lot of fire breathers and stilt walkers with fire and poi and other juggling attributes being on fire with hundreds of people. And during my life, my friends said at some point to me, you really have to study the event industry. So I moved into the event economic studies. And from there, I really wanted to be part of the Olympic Games. And the Netherlands, the politics, they wanted to have that for 4-year seasons. Every time they said, yeah, we're going to bring the Olympics to the Netherlands. So in 12 years, they changed. They threw it out all over again. It's even going back to Australia again, I believe. So the Netherlands is not investing into that. I did fire breathe in the Olympic Stadium. But to move on, I ended working up in the festival industry up till 25,000 visitors, mid-sized festivals. And from there, I really was trying to find my passion. And I remembered that I started it after I was already studying and working in this progress for 10 years. I found out like I had a successful liquor company selling liquor, but I just quit drinking a lot of alcohol. So I didn't drink from there for 8 years. And I was like, what am I going to do then? So I moved from a successful company in the liquor brand into learning everything about fire breathing.
Is that what you did with your liquor? You put it in your mouth and then spray it out? That was a good use of it.
No, we're using a different liquor to breathe fire with. I stopped in 2012 with my company and then I moved on to fire breathing entirely.
Now, if the listener doesn't already know, this means you're an incredibly different profile from most. A lot of PIs want to project the image of someone in a suit, a very serious individual, a safe pair of hands for their money. And yet in your Facebook profile, there's fire breathing, there's reenacting sword fights, there's travel to exotic locations. You're a real man of activity and energy and things like that.
That's true. What's making me different from other people is that I feel the child within me and I embrace that. So when I organized the festival of Elf Fancy Fair and it became the World of Elfia, I was the marketing salesperson for that organization. I was responsible for the volunteers. So working for a fantasy scene festival is really something weird. On top of that, fire breathing and bringing together a lot of people, because now I organize a world record venue with people from all over the world coming over. Last time we had over 217 people attending from 40 nations, and now it are 22 nations. It makes what I create very complex, because it's like if the NAVO is bringing in 22 nations of military people to do something dangerous, that's a huge operation. So the 3 things that I do in life are the following: that first of all, I'm trying to listen, my inner voice, and also to connect with other people. The second thing is that I start creating things, and there are a lot of things that I create. And the third thing is, while I'm creating it, I'm striving for perfection, because I don't want to be just average. I want to be outstanding. So for example, with fire, what I'm doing, I approach it like there are 50,000 people at the New York Marathon, and there are only 9 people making money out of that. And that are the first 3 women, men and women with a disability, and 3 men are crossing the finish. That are the only ones that will make money out of the process and who can make a living from their work. And so that's what I'm doing with the things that I create. When I organize a world record venue for fire breathing, I'm trying to unite people from all over the world, create something incredible, get into the Guinness Book of World Records as a group. And then I want to go on tour with this group. I want to tour the world in the middle of football stadiums and create something amazing there. So I'm already having a vision that's 20 years into the future or 10 years into the future. And that's what I am. I am a philosopher by heart, looking into the far future, having a lot of patience and just keep my diligence, just keep working on the process and get it done.
Well, fantastic. One of the other things I picked up from your Facebook photos, in many of your pics, you're with Nikki. Now, I don't want to be Me Too'd, but I do feel compelled to say that she's an absolutely stunning looking woman.
Thank you.
And it seems like you guys have great fun together.
My partner she's really my rock. I mean, I'm all over the place and she keeps me very stable. She's my harbor, so to say, for real. And she's always there for me. She's a great graphic designer, by the way, and Nikki Toons. And she loves to draw, travel the world. That's why I go places, because otherwise I would be just sitting in a room, just doing my work all the time. And she gives me fun in life.
Well, there's a pic of the two of you looking at Mount Fuji, which would bring a tear to the eye.
Thank you. I love that picture. Yes.
Okay, so let's get to know a little bit more about you by asking you to tell us something you're very bad at.
The thing is, where I'm really at worst is that I'm a perfectionist. So I'm afraid for failure and the lessons learned from failure. It took me 39 years to the point before I got my driver license, because I was afraid for even trying in the process to fail. So what I noticed was that perfectionism in my work as a fire stuntman or fire breather is really a great work ethic, because when I'm on the field performing for 3 hours with people around me, I keep it very safe and nothing will happen there. The problem will occur the moment when I do slip up or when I do let go of something and I don't have to focus for the process anymore. It's either black and white. I just do it or I don't do it. And that's a little bit of the strength and weakness within me. I'm just trying to find the kiss, keep it simple and short. And it's not what I'm doing when I'm talking with people, but in my mind, that's the process that I'm in.
Very good. Well, tell us, how does that desire for perfection and concern over coming short, how does that feed into your decision to become a popular investor and put yourself out there? Mm-hmm. Was that difficult?
That was something that I really wanted to do, because the funny thing is that I was talking with a account manager of a Dutch media platform. The name is Geen Stijl. I was sending him like, yeah, I'm buying this stock. It's at the all-time low. And in March 2020, during the pandemic, there was so much going on. And Michiel, he was so overwhelmed by the information that I gave him that he was like, he wasn't angry, but he was telling me, Thomas, please find your people and go to eToro, because I don't want to hear any more advice from you about stocks. And then I was like, eToro, what's eToro? So I was looking up eToro and I was like, I found my crowd. I finally found my place where I belong. And I moved to eToro and I started moving a lot of money into eToro at that point, and I started day trading. I was so excited about having this play field of being in the, not on the, just giving an order to the bank, but just being on a social platform. It felt like an addiction. I was even changing my attitude from being awake during the Hong Kong time all the way till the Dutch time. And then I slept a little bit and I woke up for the New York Times, and I just slept 2 hours 2 times a day. And that's it. I was working all the time. And so in April, I really put myself out there and I started day trading on eToro. I was crazy about what was happening on the stock market. And that was a great experience. But I made, of course, I changed into a day trader. I tried my luck. And of course, I lost some money in the process. And I was like, no, this isn't working. I'm not going to bet on oil or gold or whatever. And I started doing just my research into the things that I do understand. So I started on eToro with a lot of reading into the WHO protein, about the food spread in the world, what's going on during the pandemic. I made a lot of money with trading into the grain. I was just buying the stocks that I believed in at that point. And during that process, I started to distance myself more and more from eToro, having my strategy in place instead of just being trading all the time. And that has been the process during the last year.
Okay, let's have a question from the art of people. Can I ask you to pick a number between 1 and 10?
7.
If you weren't doing what you're doing today, what would you be doing and why?
Oh, I love the question. What I would be doing if I wasn't doing what I do today? Well, first of all, I do a lot of things, from fire breathing, consulting, mostly entertaining companies or people with a lot of volunteers, fire stunt and theater performing and stuff like that. I think what I would be doing instead, I would be a history teacher, because I used to teach history and study history, and I really loved going into the minds of great people in the past and learn from the stuff that they accomplished, that they wanted to achieve, and the failures that they had to overcome or that they met in life, the failures they met and they tried to overcome and to turn around. So from Alexander the Great or Caesar and all the other people. So at this moment, I'm trying to bring this joy of history teaching into my daily life by creating an absurd short movie. It's a parody of Monty Python together with Game of Thrones, where we have Joe the farmer. It's just an average person in a fantasy world telling about his daily life and the struggles that he has when dragons are coming in, and they have, of course, they've eaten the cows and then they shit on the field. So the problem is that the cows are not going to give milk for a month, or the witch is coming by, or the army is passing by, or all the problems that you face in this world. And that's of course a point of view that you don't see except in Monty Python, when you have the scene that he's galloping to the castle and there are people in the field and they're talking like, this isn't a democratic system we haven't chosen for. I'm out here in the mud.
Okay, Thomas, let's leave the fantasy world behind for a second and step into the very real world of eToro. Can I ask you to start this section by reading your bio, the first few paragraphs of your bio?
Sure, Gavin, thanks. Welcome to the ThomasMeijwaard Ethical Investment Fund. Diversification is the key to long-term stock market success. By copying, you reduce risk and add key diversification to your assets. Although we are booking great success, this is a marathon to get rich slow. Fire compatible, financial independence, retire early. Brief portfolio strategy summary. 150 plus stocks and ETFs, risk between 4 and 5, future focused in plus 20 industries, not alcohol, banks, gambling, oil, tobacco, or conventional weapons, no sell, short positions and leverage, max 2% crypto, and based on fundamental values and growth opportunities.
Okay, that's fantastic. A lot of information there. So let's pick apart some of that if we can.
Mm-hmm.
You start by saying, welcome to the ThomasMeijwaard Ethical Investment Fund. So you're actually naming your portfolio as an ethical investment fund.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a feature of your approach, it's the feature.
That's correct.
So the big question is, why are you investing this way on eToro?
I think that this is the best way that I can go to sleep at night, when I have a good feeling about my place in the world. So besides riding a bike instead of owning a car, eating vegetarian or vegan, flying only once every 2 years for a long duration, and really trying to reduce my personal imprint on this world below 1. I'm also a process optimizer. So one of the main picture that I use on eToro is when I'm standing next to Vittorio Colao. That's the CEO of Vodafone Worldwide. And I did it within 4 months within the company. So you have to imagine in the Netherlands, there are 3,000 people, academic, getting paid year after year for 25 years to achieve process optimization for the worldwide operations. That's 75,000 years of company work ethics. I'm just coming in there and they say, oh, by the way, we have a stage for people that just have some great ideas. I give them some of my ideas and I end up with the CEO worldwide on stage for being in the top 3 best ideas. So my father, who wasn't my car to get into Vodafone, he said, you have to approach the company yourself. But he has been working there from the start. He uses this picture to tell other people that this is the greatest accomplishment of his life, because it reflects the fact that when I was a younger person, 16 till 20, I was asking my father and also my uncle, what books can I read? I read every book in the library at that age, and there wasn't a book left for me. And they started to teach me about Stephen Covey and the 7 habits of highly successful people. So from that point at life at 18, I was already trying to learn about everything that's possible for self-education, for personal growth, for becoming a better person. And all those things that I learned from the age of 18 till at 25 when I was doing my study, my teacher, accounting, he asked me, Thomas, can you please show up for my evening class for the managers from business life? And I said, yeah, of course, sure, I can show up. And I was standing before a group of 25 managers in the age of 50 that were studying there. And he said, just start talking, Thomas, just start talking. I started talking about things that I picked up, and I was asking them some question why they were doing the study and what they tried to achieve. And I found out that I had great resources about books that I have read in life. And I was asking them, when they asked me, what sources do you have? I said, who has read this book? Who has read that book? Who has read this book? From Blue Ocean Strategy to Napoleon Hill to, well, you can name it. And for every question that I asked, maybe one hand would raise, and I named 25, 40 titles. And I found out that I was better educated, a 20-time fold compared to those people in the room. And the teacher said to me, just stop reading and start working. You don't need any more insecurity or more information or more access into more wisdom. You're a smart guy, just do it. And at that point, I realized I have to start working. That's what I did. So that's what I've been doing all my life. I've been reading up. I've tracked the financial markets since I was 16. And I've always been interested in everything that's happening in life. And all those things are poured into my eToro account as we go. So I'm trying to be a great person while trying my best on the stock market.
Okay, so you're doing this because this is you, the ethical investing angle. You're not doing it as filling a gap in the market. eToro needs somebody who's running an ethical investment fund for copiers to copy. You're doing it because you believe in it, clearly. Okay, let's move on to another couple of points. Diversification is the key to long-term stock market success, you say.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a universally accepted truism. I think it depends what you mean by diversification. So can you expand on that?
Yes, that's the most important aspect that I believe, having learned from Dr. Tal, who is teaching popular investors. This guy is incredible, talented in statistics. And he's explaining that by diversification, you're reducing your risk. And the key aspect of diversification means that by spreading, you also need a lot of patience before you see some returns. But the general concept is that while you're investing into a broad portfolio and you have done that statistically over the time of, 100 years, you will see the best results. And there's only a small occurrence that choosing only a single stock will have a greater performance. But that's just like winning the lottery. That's not something that I would apply to the portfolio.
Would your hero Buffett and his friend Munger not argue passionately otherwise?
That's true, but they have a lot more resources than I do. So they have a whole team that can really pinpoint like a sharpshooter into the right direction. But I don't have those resources because we're with a really small team. And I don't think that I have the opportunity to believe that I have those skills to pinpoint into a single stock.
You also say, although we are booking great success, this is a marathon to get rich slow. That looks a little bit dated given your 2021 results. You had great success. Let me explain that, in fact, to the listener. In 9 months of 2020, you had 77% return. And 2021 is for you this year, as it is for a lot of investors, a very difficult year. And you're sitting at a 3% return so far.
Yes.
The other thing that looks little bit dated, therefore, is when you say your performance goal for 2021 is plus 25%. So I guess you're expecting an incredible last couple of weeks of December.
I do hope for a great recovery for this year. Yeah. Look, what I'm really looking to the stock market, I see that there's the fourth wave of the pandemic or endemic, how you're going to name it. In my opinion, the lethality of the virus is so low and people are so overreacting. And there's so much money in the system. The amount of money being created, it's 50% or it doubled. It's crazy how much federal banks are creating at this point to stimulate the economy. So in my opinion, a PE ratio of 20 for stocks should move up to PE 40 because there's so much money in the market. And all those companies are buying up with their money. It's the surplus of money. They're buying up their own stocks. So in my opinion, it's crazy if the stock market is moving down. That's the opposite movement of what you should expect in the current situation when there's a huge inflation going on. The value of money is dropping. So you want to own assets and to create money through those assets. And when I'm looking to it, I'm baffled actually. And I'm just like, hold on to your stocks. Whatever you're doing, hold on to your stocks. That's it.
Let's move on to your risk score. Do you think your risk score is fair?
My risk score is an average of 5. And that's what I try to do. It's between 4 and 5. I do notice when the performance of the portfolio is great, it's dropping to a 4. And that's just the level of risk that I prefer, somewhere between 4 and 5. I don't try to get it to 3. That's not my goal, because we do invest into long-term risky strategies. We don't own companies that are handing out a lot of dividends on the short run, like Coca-Cola and other familiar names. So we do have a strange strategy, and I think that we're trying to reduce this risk through diversification. And that's all in the results of the score.
Let's talk about your copier numbers and assets under management. Currently, copiers 56, assets under management between 100 and 300,000. Now, if I just describe your copier graph, it's a story of a very steep incline up to, I guess, what was over 100?
Yes, 120, I believe, 125, something like this.
At the peak, and then you've been declining because of 2021 being not such a great year, down to the current level of 56. So where do you feel you are in your eToro PI journey? Still just starting out?
I'm just starting out. That's the belief that I have. I'm really doing a marathon because when I'm sometimes some of my copiers, they will tell me like, you're the new J Nemesis. And I'm like, oh, I'm nothing like the J Nemesis. And they say the performance wise, what you're doing and the way you're buying and doing stuff, they say you're like J Nemesis. Well, that might have been the point last year. I was at the same or a little bit above or under J Nemesis. And now we're going our separate ways. Jay is going left up and I'm going right down. So that's the point that I was starting to look to J Nemesis as well. And I was like, oh yeah, this guy is a tech geek. He knows everything about tech. That's really great. I have a different approach. And I think like if you're already on this platform for 8 years, that's great to grow into that. But I don't want to perceive myself because I'm really happy with where I am at this moment. I wouldn't like to have the burden of 100 million responsibility because last year when I was speaking already, companies in the United States were trying to poach me. They were contacting me and saying like, hey, do you want to come work for my company? your memes are funny. We want somebody who is going to be a hedge funder and communicate with our client base. And I was like, I don't want a job for, even if it's a $40,000, I don't want this responsibility at this point of life. Just let me steady grow into the process and change my mindset into being a hedge funder over time, as a retail investor on eToro. And I don't want to put on a new suit with a lot of burden in that, with a backpack and a lot of weight. So I'm very happy if people leave me. That means that I'm not doing a great job, or they don't understand my strategy. They're not fit with my strategy. And some people do understand, because I can tell you about 98% of them are in the red of my copiers. And I do tell them, like, if you're now in the red and you believe my strategy, this is the point to put more money on the table, because in the red, we can go up. If you're investing during the peak, there's an option. It can go up or it can go down. So it's up to you.
Okay, trades per week and the average holding time. Trades per week, 17. Average holding time, 5 months. Do you think that's an accurate reflection of your investing style?
It isn't, because when I started on eToro, when I was so very overjoyed by finding the platform, it would have been 4 weeks or even 2 weeks in the first month, when I was really day trading and really being submerged 100% into the world of eToro. And over time, last year, I made some mistakes with day trading. Of course, I made some money as well, but I made some mistakes, and I really changed my strategy from short term into a longer term. So 5 months is the result of now, and I'm really trying to change this into 5 years. And it's a growing process to have more patience and to really stick to my own pragmatic approach about being patient and diversification without changing too often.
Let's discuss communication a little bit, Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned your memes and the way you communicate with your copiers. Your communication is eToro-centric, isn't it? There's no other channels you use?
There is a channel, people who contact me personally, because eToro doesn't like it, but people want personal connection. So I do have a Discord channel where something like 30 copiers are currently present. There they can contact me personally, because sometimes they really want to talk with me on a personal level and ask me a lot of questions.
You don't link to that in your bio?
No, I don't, because eToro doesn't like it, but...
Are you sure about that? Because lots of others do.
Let me see if it's at the bottom of my... Yes, it's at the bottom of my pinned post. There you see that there's a copier Discord.
Okay. And you're happy with those two platforms in combination? Posting on eToro, responding to people on eToro, private communications in Discord?
When people feel the urge to talk with me, for sure. I'm also posting my articles on Twitter and on LinkedIn when I'm writing something, and on Instagram as well. So I do have a social presence.
Okay.
Although I feel that the people on Instagram, when I post my meme in combination with the link to the article on eToro, because that's what I'm doing, I'm funneling everyone to eToro. I do believe that the public on Instagram has a different desire. So they don't even know how to buy a stock, or why would I even start on eToro? So I'm thinking about changing my presence out there, because I do see a lot of ethical awareness on platforms like Instagram with Superdry and other people that are trying to create a social awareness about ethical lifestyle. So I really think that it adds something, but I shouldn't be focusing about my portfolio on Instagram, for instance. But I do see it as a means to interact with people. And eToro in itself, when I'm writing a lot of articles, you can see the backlog, what you're achieving with that. And I used to reach between 60 to 100,000 people, and now it's just 3,000. So my presence at this moment doesn't draw in a big crowd. I'm not writing that much at this point.
What I've learned from researching you is all this stuff about your performances and the events that you organize, all this exciting artistic stuff? Do you think there's a risk you might be taken less seriously by people because you're not a guy in a suit and a tie? You're a guy breathing fire and swinging a sword at an elf?
First of all, I'm not swinging a sword to an elf.
Okay. Somebody was.
I'm the dragon. And second of all, yes, I do believe that some people might feel like I'm not a serious guy. And that's totally fine. I mean, it's a reflection of your own feelings or your own sense of being in this world. And I totally respect that. But I do believe that looking to, for instance, to actors, people that are acting, they're very social, very geeky, very intelligent people. And they can memorize their lines and they can really emerge into a personality. So I'm just being myself. And I know that I'm like I'm not a pony or a horse. Maybe I'm like a unicorn in a sense of way. I do hope that there are more unicorns out there in the world. And by saying so, being a unicorn, if people are seeing a unicorn like something, hey, that's aboriginal, that's one of a kind, it's a strange thing, that's fine. I totally respect that. But you have to ask yourself, why do you have this feeling? Where does it come from? Why do you want to judge or compare things? And that's my opinion. I just think by being myself, I will draw those people into my life that feel connected with me. Being authentic is the only way that I can be happy. And I can tell, I used to work as an insurance contractor for life insurances for Hamburg Mannheimer in the past. So I have had my time in a suit. I was a successful salesperson. I got my financial papers back then for product related sales. And I walked the door from home to home from people to sell that. And also I worked at the ABN AMRO Bank at the service level, where people are really satisfied with the way how I'm helping my colleagues, because I was working indoor as a service agent for my colleagues. I found out that as well as with Vodafone, I'm not suited for a company life. If I do something for a company, I will only do it for one day. Reason being, I don't like the politics. I don't like to defend myself or to think about what I can say or what I cannot say or change who I am. And if you are comfortable with trying to blend in like a sheep in a group, I'm the dog walking around, or I'm the black sheep walking away, but I'm not part of the group. And I understand that I'm different, and I'm happy with that.
Dear listener, just a little pause here to say a few things directly to you. The calendar is full until the end of the year. That will mean 52 episodes, which seems like a good time to pause and call it Season 1 and take stock. It's been a lot of fun and a lot of time and effort, but I'm pleased to be creating something of value for eToro users, particularly Copytraders. Whether there will be a Season 2 depends on a number of factors. I say it elsewhere, but I want to repeat it again here to really encourage a little action from you. If you want to see the podcast continue, you can help by bringing more listeners in. A lot of people still don't know about Copytraders Club, so post about it on your PI's feed in eToro. Mention it on a Facebook group or in whatever Discord groups you're in. That's not too much of an ask, is it? On the podcast apps, there's always a share function that includes copy link. Use that. Or copy the YouTube channel link and share that. Or share a link to your favorite episode. There are many ways to eat an orange. I also have one of those affiliate links for new eToro signups in every episode's show notes. So, if you know someone interested in signing up, please copy and send them that link and help support the show that way. Now, I know these calls to action that you hear on podcasts can easily be ignored, and I always ignore them myself, let's be honest. But this time, I am asking you, as someone who listens to and enjoys this one-person independent podcast to make a little effort to help it along. You can even press pause and take 2 minutes to do it right now. If you do, know that I am grateful. If you don't, every time you hear this bit, you will be overcome with a crippling sense of guilt and unworthiness. Until you do. Back to the show. All right, Thomas, let's talk about your portfolio now a bit more. 156 positions currently.
I'm trying to reduce it as we speak. And in my mind, it's already 150 because it used to be 170 or something. And I was speaking with some people from investment advisors from eToro that they draw in. Some of the great minds that are talking about, and they are talking about a diversified portfolio. And I'm asking them, what do you think about 150 stocks? And they're like, you're crazy to have 150 stocks. It means that you're insecure and not informed. And I'm like, all right, thanks. That's a great answer. So I'm trying to take that advice into mind and to drop a lot of the assets that I'm holding at this moment.
Okay, again, not very Warren Buffett. He has a big too hard pile and only very occasionally will enter a position. He only swings at the fat pitches. When I see a kind of a number like 156, I ask myself, how can you possibly know all you need to know about so many businesses? How can you keep up with so many stories? Like I can only read one book at a time.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But that's something that's happening as well, because the moment the Chinese market was changing with the drums of war, there happened so much in the stock market. It was really frightening. The moment that Biden invited Taiwan to the inauguration in the United States, the first time that he acknowledged Taiwan, and the bombers are flying towards Taiwan all the time with the threat of war. That was the moment that hit the portfolio really hard because there was a lot of fear in the world economy. So I really noticed that the portfolio, even on the technologies that are invested into it, they are waved into policy making itself. And that's something that I really didn't protect myself against, hedge against. So that's the moment when I started to move into stocks like VXX, to build in some more securities. And I started to look to things that are more long-term for the entire humanity.
Well, I did want to talk about a couple of particular positions that you have. First one I want to talk about is one of your smaller positions, and it's Canaan, C-A-N.
Yes.
Which I'm quite excited to see in your portfolio. It's a stock I'm interested in, but I never see it in other people's portfolios on eToro. Now, I'd like you to explain why this is potentially a very interesting picks and shovels play in the crypto space. Because, well, let me just, for the listener, if they don't know that expression, it comes from the times of the gold rush, where everyone's digging, everyone's trying to strike gold. And the people that really made the money were the businesses that sold them picks and shovels in order to mine. They were guaranteed a good business, whether people struck rich or not. So yes, Canaan, picks and shovels.
Same with the picks and shovels like Canaan, there's also IIPR. That's the right for the cannabis industry. And Canaan is a chip producer that's creating chips specifically for the crypto space, because they are different than the regular chip producers. And they're from a Chinese manufacturer. And there are certain levels of chip making, of the intelligence of the chip. And this chip level has a unique, outstanding performance. It's something different than any other chip. So it's like having a sniper weapon present as the only option. You don't use it for every situation. it's very specific. You use it only for one goal. So yeah, it's a very specific company, and I added it because I do believe that in the long run, the cryptocurrency is going to be outstanding performance.
Isn't one of the most exciting things about Canaan that, they're providing all this hardware, selling the hardware to other people to mine Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And when the demand for that drops, they can mine themselves.
That's true.
So their income streams are kind of guaranteed no matter which way things go.
What you're saying, Gavin, is true, but that's only possible till the point that the mining is the energy cost for mining. There is a certain threshold, a certain point in the process where a lot of energy is needed in order to mine something. So you need a certain consistency in price rise of Bitcoin in order to see the value of Canaan. And at this point, people are predicting Bitcoin can move up to 250,000 for one coin. In my opinion, I really respect Bitcoin as in the space for what it has done. It's the first Ford car. On the other side, I believe that what's happening, for instance, the combination of Ethereum together with XRP, with Ripple, that they're creating the Flare platform and the new type of crypto, that's creating something that I call progress, improvement. We're no longer driving in a Ford One. We're already going to a Tesla.
Well, another thing you believe in, quite clearly, is Nanodimensions.
Yes.
My question about them is, it's not necessarily what a bear might say, but one might say that Nanodimensions is a very exciting prospect. But why invest now when the bull case for this is not going to play out anytime soon? You talk about being too early on Canaan. Do you not think it's a bit too early for Nanodimensions? It could be a great stock, but it might not be the right stock for eToro as well right now.
I totally agree with that. And I approached this stock the same way when I approached NEO last year. When I was buying NEO last year in April, between $2 and $4, people were laughing at me. And I really believe that when people are laughing about something, you're already really early because nobody believes what you believe. And the results of NEO, well, on average, I think my results are about 200% for NEO for every time I sold the stocks. And so I believe that Nanodimension, when I'm talking to people in the IT industry, people that are creating hardware for governments and stuff like that, they even don't believe in Nanodimensions. The only level of usage of products from Nanodimensions is in the highest region of our society. And being that, for instance, not even a company like Vodafone or Unilever or Walmart, I don't think that even Amazon will be using at this moment Nanodimensions. But if you go higher than that, you're going to researchers, military, and also companies like Liberty Global, which are buyers of companies like Vodafone. Those do use Nanodimensions because they're creating their own systems of security. We're not talking about companies with millions or billions, but we're talking about trillion companies. They have their own layers of security implemented, and they need the whole system, because if you're creating the chip, you need to build the whole system around that everything is fixed around this one chip. And the next spectrum that's going to occur in our society is that we're going to get what I call quantum computer threats. And those threats are that the quantum computer can break into every system. So in order to create a certain safety in all of this would maybe mean that at some point, because even bank systems at this moment are not secure for a quantum computer if they are able to break into the codes. My belief is that at some point we will have like a new layer of protection in the system. And those are going to be flexible chips that can be replaced instantly to run certain protocols, change certain aspects of layers of protection whatsoever. and that Nanodimensions is going to be the main player in this entire game. And this game isn't been invented yet. Just I perceive it like a machine gun. The machine gun is entering the World War I, and that changed everything. And Nanodimension is going to be this kind of protection.
Do you think one of the reasons why the market isn't falling over themselves to back Nanodimensions is because of the time lag, and also because I've heard their CEO on earnings calls telling these people who ask questions very bluntly not to expect revenue growth over the next 12 months or 24 months, or he's a very direct, he makes no promises, he's not finessing the situation. That's pretty refreshing, isn't it?
True. I'm actually not expecting anything in the coming up 5 years.
That's why I ask, is this a good stock for eToro?
It's a great stock. In my opinion, it's a great stock that I hold for the long term. Because on the other hand, look, for instance, the threat that's now happening between China and Taiwan, where a lot of chips are being created as we speak. The moment if the world is engulfed into a war, you do want on-site production of things. And I think that the moment that the world society, if countries are going to see another disaster, because that's what happened. There was this one factory in the world where they were creating something for a medication. I don't know what it was, insulin or whatever, but this one factory was disrupted by a volcano, and all of a sudden there was the awakening in the world that nowhere else in the world this product was being created. During the crisis, we could see that NIO and other companies, they were disrupted because they didn't have any chips present to create cars. So you have the entire car, you don't have the chips. So looking to this problem and looking to the crises we had before, when one factory fell away and the entire chain of systems were collapsing because there were maybe some stockage withholding some of the products, but they need to rebuild their entire factory to create certain products again. So from this point of view, I'm looking to it in a world where, for instance, the virus is really killing people and you have no freedom of movement anymore, but you do need something on site to produce. There you got it, Nanodimensions. So it's ticking every box. The solution is there for car makers and so ever. Maybe it needs to improve the output. Maybe it needs to improve something, but there's small minor adjustments, and then Nano can take over the world. Or, well, the chip making world.
I think by now the listener is enthused by your enthusiasm. So let's give them another little insight into you by asking you to tell us about your worst ever investment.
Worst ever investment. The biggest loss at this point is the company Evofem Bioscience.
And why has it gone so wrong, and what have you learned from it?
They're very upcoming. It might take some while because what I really like about this company is that they're really focusing on improving the conditions for women and empowering them. So their mission statement, I really stand with it. Only if you claim something or you want something, that's one thing. Creating it is something different. And we've seen that in the past with other products, like the Nuvo ring, and there have been other tools in place for women. And I think that Evo has a lot of promising products, Evofem Bioscience, but it might take another 10 years. And so I poured too much money into the project when it was dropping. While some of those products will take like 10 years before they evolve to good uses, and they need more input from their customers and to get to improve their science and to keep working on that. So I need to accept that when, what I learned from that is that when a company does drop down, like 80% or 90% as a startup. And even if I believe very strongly in that, I shouldn't be buying more stocks. And I just should stick with my loss, accept it, and just wait for a long while. In that way, I'm not doubling the investment and see another drop and then another drop and have to wait even longer before you will see any returns.
Okay, let's move on then to your copiers. This is perhaps a more interesting question for you than for some of the other guests we've had on the podcast. What kind of copiers should copy you?
The people who can copy my portfolio are people with a lot of patience and who are willing to look through the portfolio, submerge themselves into what I'm doing, and build up a lot of trust. And if they trust me, allow me to work for them. That's what I'm trying to do.
Presumably, they come to you initially because of the ethical investment.
No, they're coming to me because of the performance of the portfolio.
Okay.
Last year, what I was seeing was that people, when they came on my page, some people were saying ethical, you cannot make money being ethical. And so I looked at their performance and said, hey, your performance is only plus 25%. The SPX 500 is 2020 was 36%. So in average, you're performing under the general growth of the market. So, and I'm trying to do that being ethical without, well, certain things like alcohol, tobacco, drugs, weapons, etc. And then I'm engaging and talking with them, and I'm explaining to them how I'm approaching the market. And when we're in a discussion together, they can see my point of view, and some of them copy me, some don't. And some are really feeling helped by the information that they're getting from me. So I do try to have like open minds and engage people. One of them was R. Freelink from Portugal. I engaged him last year. He was at minus 92.55%. And at some point he was copying me. At some point he was skipping to copy me. And when I look to his performance and I see that he has had minus 90% or more for 3 years in a row in 2018, 2019, 2020.
With his own investments?
With his own investments, he lost more than 90% of every dollar invested. I'm reaching out to him and I'm saying like, look, I clearly see what you want. You're clearly trying to invest, but you're one of the 76% of the people that are losing money on the market because of your approach. You have no patience. You're actually gambling. And I really want to help you change your mindset. And he started copying and he's looking to my strategy at that point. He did make some money, but in the end, he loses it. And that's what I see over and over again on eToro. People that are really losing money time after time after time, which is fine if you fell down and you stand up and you learn something in the process. But if you notice that you have been losing money for 2 or 3 consecutive years in a row and you fail to make money, maybe you have to accept that your own capabilities of investing, especially having patience, isn't in place there. And then I think become a backseat drivers, become the CEO, sit in the backseat, allow somebody else to drive the car, because a taxi driver can be a better driver. And it removes a lot of the burden. But in this case, I would say people have like a addiction for what I call not gambling in the casinos, but gambling on eToro. Or on any other platform. I mean, it's not that eToro is the cause of this. It's the behavior of people themselves. I mean, you can do this on Robinhood or the banks or whatever.
Okay. What role should you as a PI play in a copier's portfolio? And can you describe that ideal portfolio with you in it?
If I'm looking to eToro, I think that what's really important is there are certain aspects of society which are really outstanding at this moment. One of them being is the crypto space. I really see how some popular investors are making huge gains on crypto and they totally get their game. They're really into it. I'm not into crypto. I do accept that crypto is making a lot of money, but it's not my thing. It's not my approach. It's part of my strategy, like buying a life insurance. There is some crypto in there, but it's not my approach of life. So I think that having those and also other people that are in the ethical sphere, there's this one person that's outstanding with having a green portfolio, Kois_Kurka. I really like that he had 135% performance this year. Last year, he had 77% performance with the crypto portfolio. And his performance is outstanding while he is investing 87% of his money into crypto, mostly into Cardano, Ethereum, and Ethereum Classic. That's like 11-12% of his portfolio. But he does turn his investments into ETFs. So he's accepting that he's having a high risk game in the crypto space. And he is buying ethical, in my point of view, ethical ETFs like lithium, SMH, the chip producer, Fuji, the security, TAN, the solar energy, and a lot of the RQ, ARC-F from Catherine Wood.
He's taking his crypto profits and rolling them into safer green ETFs.
Yes, and when I'm looking to a lot of ETFs and I'm researching the ETFs and I'm taking like the global ETF of India, the global ETF of Japan, the global whatever, there's always conventional weapons in them. And he is very keen on buying ETFs that are not in this space. He's buying ETFs that are on cybersecurity or solar energy or medical health, and there's no conventional weapon. There's no tobacco. There's no drugs. He's really buying the ETFs that I also buy.
So he's the kind of PI you think would complement your skill set?
Yes.
How many PIs would you recommend someone has in a portfolio?
10. Like the Bible, there are 10 rules, 10 PIs. If you invest in 10, split 10% into everyone, and they are all holding an average of 50 stocks, then you have 500 stocks in your portfolio. And that's a great asset. I mean, that's like the SPX 500.
Exactly. Isn't there a better way to beat the market, not to be the market?
I don't think so. I think that in general, if you're looking to the growth prospect of an ETF over time, it's meaning a general growth, an average growth, and it's still great. If I'm looking to my own performance this year compared to last year, I could have better invested into an ETF myself, being the market. I don't want to pledge to people that I'm perfect. I'm only saying I have my own strategy, my own vision, and I stick to my vision. And what I'm always afraid of is that people will follow me as a FOMO, the fear of missing out, that they're starting to copy me when my portfolio is again in a peak. And then they will step out when it's going down again.
Well, that's not your problem. That's what copy trader behavior, unfortunately. Okay, let me ask another question. What other popular investor would you say you know best on a personal level?
Some of the popular investors, the one I'm having had some contact with was Paulo Gabriel Sa. We were similar last year. He had 75 versus my 76 result, and he has a different approach. He's a full-time eToro trader by heart. He's really present on the platform. This year he's at minus 9%, which is, well, really sad, but that's part of the game, I think. If you're, like I said, if you are performing with a small team, it's really difficult to be flexible on the entire movement of the market. I really keep track of what he's doing together with some of the others, and I'm reading up on what they're thinking and believing. And it's really one of the ways to to learn and to grow is to get into somebody else's mindset and to discuss how they're approaching the market, what they try to achieve, in what time span, what their strategy is, and that's helping me evolve as well. So I think that in that way, I'm really grateful for eToro for uniting the world of retail investors and creating a program where eToro is really trying to help people. And beside him, I'm also talking mostly with people that are copying me, or people that have some outstanding performances that are not PIs because they don't want to be PIs.
There are quite a few PIs in the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
On last week's episode, I spoke with Vlad D35, who's a Romanian guy who lives in Amsterdam. So maybe you guys could meet up in an Amsterdam coffee shop for a relaxing afternoon.
Wow, cool. Vlad D35, Vlad Daniel Disu?
Yeah.
That's great. Well, the funny thing was that last year, one of the people who started copying me was Stijn Kat, living in Amsterdam. And he contacted me because he said, I really love what you're doing, but you're exhausted at this point, Thomas. You are even posting at 2 a.m. updates about what's going on the stock market. And he says, when do you sleep? I say, I hardly sleep. I sleep 2 times 2 hours a night. And during the days between all the exchanges. And so he looked me up and he said, well, first of all, you need more rest. You're full time on eToro. And second of all, he said, I really want to write some articles and to be connected with you. He started writing the psychological things on my profile back then. And his articles really hit a spark for people that are having a bad time on the stock market. He's a great source about psychological approach of the market. And I'm more on the technical side. I see on eToro that they do publish about interaction between people. It took place here in Amsterdam as well. And I love to meet people and have a cup of coffee. So anyone in the region of Amsterdam, great.
Fantastic. All right, let's finish it off by asking the final question. Thomas, if you were in my shoes, what one question would you like to have asked yourself that I didn't?
Well, the question that I would love to have been asked is, what's your passion? That question really opens up people. They're really thinking and then they're really telling about their passion. And that's showing character. That's showing the interest, and that shows how you can connect with people. And that's something I love to hear.
Well, we'd love to hear the answer. So imagine I've just asked the question.
What's your passion? Well, in my case, my passion is to have a fulfilled life where I'm in connection with the world around me. And for me, that part is connecting people from all over the world, fire breathing together at the same moment to improve the world record simultaneous fire breathing. We'll be doing that next year, 19th till the 21st of August, when people from all over the world, we have people signing up from Ghana all the way to Sweden and from America all the way to Hong Kong. And they're all coming to the Netherlands to have this enormous inspirational moment together. And beside that, if you do feel the need to come to the Netherlands and you feel the joy of being together with people from all over the world, you can come by. We can talk about eToro. We can fire breathe. We can sit at the campfire. It's a very relaxing experience. And on the other hand, beside that, traveling the world, that's something that Nikki brought into my life together with our dog, our Shiba Inu, with the name Sky. And that's my other joy in life, taking the dog on a walk and enjoy playing with him because he's my greatest source of love at this moment beside my partner. And he's our bundle of joy.
Well, talking to you today, Thomas, has been a bundle of joy for the listener, no doubt. So thank you so much for being here with us today at the Copytraders Clubhouse.
Great being here. It's a beautiful clubhouse.
ThomasMeijwaard. I really enjoyed chatting to Thomas and hearing his positive, free-thinking approach to life as a PI. It continues to fascinate me how many differing approaches there are on eToro and the variety of reasons people will have for starting and staying in a copy. That's all from me. You can continue the conversation on Discord and Facebook. If you like this podcast and want to see it continue, you can do your part by recommending it to one person or group of people this week. Until next time we meet at Copytraders Club, I wish you many happy returns. Obviously, anything you hear in this podcast is for entertainment only, not financial advice. Do your own research. This is just general chit chat. We don't know your individual circumstances, etc.